Why do some women become angry after intimacy? Is it just mood swings or a hidden psychological weapon? What if her anger isn't random, but part of a darker game? What if the very moment you think she's yours is the moment she's preparing to control you? Section 1. The hidden shift. After intimacy. Most men think intimacy cements connection, but the opposite often happens. Women can grow irritated, cold, or even furious. Why? Because intimacy flips an internal switch. It forces her subconscious to deal with vulnerability, and vulnerability often feels like weakness. Analogy. Think of a chessboard. You've cornered her king, but suddenly she flips the board. Real life example. A man finally shares an intimate night with a woman he's been pursuing. He expects warmth and tenderness afterward. Instead, she turns distant. She texts less. She even picks arguments. He's confused, but in her subconscious, anger feels safer than vulnerability. Myth versus fact. Myth. Women always bond emotionally after intimacy. Fact. Many women experience what psychologists call post-intimacy resentment, a defense mechanism to protect themselves. Freud hinted at this. Emotions suppressed often return in distorted form. Her suppressed fear becomes distorted anger. Section 2. Cognitive dissonance after passion. Desire and values often collide. When a woman desires intimacy but deep down believes it's wrong, her brain short-circuits. This conflict is called cognitive dissonance. Analogy. Imagine a poker player bluffing. She's smiling on the outside, but inside her heart races with doubt. Real-life example. She may suddenly snap, "Why did we do this?" Hours earlier she wanted it, but now her inner values fight her actions. Instead of facing guilt, she channels it into anger, at you. Myth versus fact. Myth. Her anger means she doesn't care about you. Fact. Her anger is often a mask for the war raging inside her. Psychologists call this displacement. She displaces her guilt onto the man to ease her inner conflict. Section 3. Biology's dark role. Science plays its part. During intimacy, oxytocin, the bonding hormone, floods her brain. But once the act ends, chemicals rebalance. For some women, this sudden drop causes irritability and agitation. Analogy. Like a sugar crash after a sweet high. Real-life example. A couple shares passion. Minutes later, she's restless, snappy, even moody. The man wonders what went wrong. The answer? Biology betrayed him. Myth versus fact. Myth. Only men pull away after intimacy. Fact. Women often feel sharper chemical crashes, which can trigger hostility. Even ancient texts warned of storms after passion. Machiavelli himself noted, "Passions once spent often turn into resentment." Section 4. Fear of losing power. Dark psychology teaches this. Intimacy shifts power. Before intimacy, she holds the upper hand. She decides when, if, and how. Afterward, she fears her power is gone. Anger becomes her weapon to reclaim control. Analogy. Like a predator realizing it's now prey. Real-life example. A man pursues a woman for weeks. Once they're intimate, she grows colder, distant, even irritable. Why? She senses the balance has tipped. Fear of losing control transforms into hostility. Myth versus fact. Myth. Intimacy equals safety. Fact. Intimacy often ignites fear of losing dominance. But here's where it gets darker. Because sometimes her anger isn't fear, it's strategy. In part 2, we'll expose how women weaponize intimacy itself, using anger as a tool of control, testing, and psychological warfare. Have you ever noticed someone turn cold right after closeness? Do you think it was fear, biology, or hidden strategy? Could you keep calm if she suddenly pulled away? Section 5. The shadow of regret. Anger is often regret in disguise. She may think, did I give too much? Did I move too fast? Will he still respect me? These silent questions fuel her inner storm. But instead of admitting regret, she channels it outward as irritation, criticism, or outright rage. Historical reference. Victorian psychologist describes post-passion hysteria, women turning hostile after vulnerability. Today we call it an emotional backlash. Real-life example. After intimacy, she avoids eye contact, nitpicks small flaws, or complains about random issues. It isn't about him. It's her own regret manifesting. Myth versus fact. Myth. Anger means she dislikes you. Fact. Anger often hides regret and fear of judgment. Section 6. Subconscious testing. Here's where things turn darker. After intimacy, many women test men, sometimes without even knowing it. Her sudden anger or coldness isn't always real. It's a psychological test. Will he panic? Will he chase? Or will he remain composed? Analogy. Like a general sending scouts to probe enemy weakness, she's checking his defenses. Real-life example, she says, "You don't really care about me, do you?" If he panics, she loses respect. If he stays calm, she feels secure. Myth versus fact. Myth. Tests stop once intimacy happens. Fact. The most brutal tests come after intimacy. Section 7. Narcissistic cycles of reward and punishment. Wait until you hear this, because it's the exact strategy narcissists use on their victims. Some women, consciously or not, create a cycle. Seduce, reward, then punish. Intimacy becomes the bait. Anger and withdrawal become the punishment. The result? A man trapped in a cycle of craving her validation. Psychological reference. This is called intermittent reinforcement, a principle discovered by B.F. Skinner. It's the same trick casinos use. Unpredictable rewards keep people addicted. Real-life example. She spends the night with him. The next day, cold silence. By evening, she's affectionate again. He's not addicted to love. He's addicted to the cycle. Myth versus fact. Myth. Her anger means she's losing interest. Fact. Sometimes her anger is a deliberate tool to tighten emotional control. Section 8. Trauma reactivation. For some women, intimacy reawakens old wounds. If she's faced betrayal, manipulation, or abuse before, intimacy doesn't just feel vulnerable, it feels dangerous. Anger becomes her subconscious shield. Analogy, like pressing on a scar. It looks healed, but pressure reveals hidden pain. Real-life example. After closeness, she grows hostile without explanation. The man feels blindsided. But it's not him. It's her past resurfacing through anger. Myth versus fact. Myth. Post-intimacy anger is always about the man. Fact, often, it's ghosts of her past haunting the present. Section 9. The dark strategy of rejection. Here's the part they don't want you to know. Some women weaponize intimacy itself. By giving closeness and then pulling away with anger, they create emotional dependence. The man chases harder, desperate to fix what went wrong. Historical note. Machiavelli warned rulers, never give loyalty in full, to keep subjects obedient, offer and withdraw. In relationships, some women instinctively apply this. Real-life example. She's warm one night, cold the next day. His mind spirals, replaying every detail. She has him exactly where she wants him, confused and chasing. Myth versus fact. Myth. Anger means she's done with you. Fact. Anger can be the hook that keeps you stuck, but the rabbit hole goes deeper. Because anger after intimacy isn't just about regret or testing. It's about power plays, silent contracts, and subconscious projections. In part 3, we'll expose how intimacy becomes a battlefield of expectations and hidden wars. Do you think her anger was real or a test? Have you ever felt caught in a cycle of reward and punishment? Could you walk away instead of chasing? In this chapter, we've uncovered regret, testing, narcissistic cycles, trauma, and rejection as weapons. But in part 3, we'll break down the darkest truths, hidden contracts, predator-prey flips, and the manipulation of scarcity. If you're still with me, subscribe and get ready, because the game only gets darker from here. Section 10. The cycle of projection. Projection is one of the darkest psychological tricks. After intimacy, a woman may feel guilt, shame, or weakness, but instead of facing it, she projects it onto the man. Suddenly, it's his fault. Analogy. Imagine throwing your shadow at someone else. Now they're the one standing in darkness. Real-life example. She accuses him, "You only wanted me for this." But deep inside, she's the one questioning herself. Myth versus fact. Myth. Angry accusations always reveal truth. Fact. They often reveal projection, her inner battles painted on him. Section 11. The predator-prey flip. Before intimacy, she may see herself as the prize. Afterward, fear can flip the script. Now she feels like prey, trapped, vulnerable, exposed. Anger becomes her claws. Historical note. In ancient tribes, rituals often followed intimacy to rebalance power between men and women. Modern relationships lack such rituals, leaving raw emotions unprocessed. Real-life example. After closeness, she suddenly picks fights, not because she hates him, but because she's terrified of feeling powerless. Myth versus fact. Myth. Anger means rejection. Fact. Anger can mean a subconscious attempt to restore dominance. Section 12. The dark mirror of expectations. Expectation is a silent killer. He expects intimacy to deepen love. She may expect it to change nothing or everything. When reality doesn't match her script, disappointment morphs into anger. Analogy: like buying a lottery ticket expecting millions but getting nothing. The disappointment burns. Real-life example: he thinks, now we're closer than ever. She thinks, that's it? Their mismatched expectations collide in emotional warfare. Myth versus fact. Myth: anger means loss of attraction. Fact: anger often means shattered expectations. Section 13. The silent contract. Every intimacy carries an invisible contract. She may believe now he owes me commitment. He may believe now she owes me trust. When these silent contracts clash, war begins. Historical note: in feudal systems, broken contracts led to rebellion. In relationships, unspoken agreements trigger emotional chaos. Real-life example: after intimacy, she demands exclusivity. He hesitates. Her anger explodes, not at him as a person, but at the broken silent contract. Myth versus fact. Myth: contracts are always spoken. Fact: the most dangerous contracts are the ones never discussed. Section 14. Dark manipulation through scarcity. Scarcity is one of the most powerful weapons of influence. By withdrawing after intimacy, through anger, silence, or distance, she increases her perceived value. She becomes rare, and what is rare becomes desirable. Analogy: like a merchant raising prices right after you've had a taste. Real-life example: after a night together, she suddenly disappears for days. He panics, craving her more. Scarcity has him hooked. Myth versus fact. Myth: anger is random. Fact: anger and withdrawal can be deliberate tools to amplify demand. But here's where the truth gets Machiavellian. Because intimacy isn't just biology or emotion, it's politics. In the final part, we'll expose how some women consciously wield anger as a weapon of power, dominance, and psychological control. Have you ever felt trapped in someone's silent contract? Do you think scarcity after intimacy is instinct or strategy? Which hurts more? Broken expectations or deliberate withdrawal? So far, we've uncovered projection, predator-prey flips, expectations, silent contracts, and scarcity. But the darkest truth is yet to come. In part 4, we'll end the series with Machiavellian strategies, where intimacy becomes less about love and more about control. Don't miss it. Section 15. The Machiavellian truth. At its core, intimacy isn't just physical, it's political. It's about leverage, control, territory. After intimacy, some women instinctively follow Machiavelli's timeless law. It is safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Her anger isn't chaos, it's strategy. It rebalances power. It keeps him chasing, guessing, doubting. In his confusion, she becomes the ruler of the emotional kingdom. Real-life example: she's warm one night, then cold and hostile the next day. He lies awake, replaying every word, every move. Who holds the throne? Not him. Her. Myth versus fact. Myth: post-intimacy anger is irrational. Fact: it's often the most rational move, designed to keep psychological dominance. Section 16. The hidden contract of fear. Dark psychology teaches this: fear bonds stronger than love. A woman who leaves a man anxious after intimacy often holds more power than the one who leaves him satisfied. Satisfaction ends the chase. Fear continues it. Analogy: like a ruler who occasionally starves the people, not to kill them but to make them obedient. Real-life example: she says coldly, "Don't think this means anything." He spends weeks proving his worth. Her anger has turned into leverage. Myth versus fact. Myth: fear kills attraction. Fact: fear often deepens addiction. Section 17. The dark art of confusion. Confusion is a manipulator's favorite weapon. When anger follows intimacy, men don't know where they stand. That uncertainty becomes the leash. Every small gesture of affection afterward feels like gold, because he's starved for clarity. Psychological reference. Robert Greene in the 48 Laws of Power called this controlling the options. She limits his emotional landscape so he keeps dancing around her moods. Real-life example: after a night of closeness, she spends the next day ignoring him. He begs for attention. Later, she gives a small smile, and it feels like salvation. She has mastered confusion. Section 18. when anger becomes a cycle. Not every woman uses this consciously, but the pattern can become habitual. Closeness, anger, withdrawal, return. For the man, it's exhausting. For her, it's security. The cycle ensures she's never fully vulnerable. Analogy, like a pendulum swinging between desire and defense. Real-life example. A man describes his relationship as walking on eggshells. After every intimate moment, he braces himself for the storm. Myth versus fact. Myth. Repetition means love is deepening. Fact. Repetition often means a psychological cycle of control has formed. Section 19. The silent battlefield. Relationships are often framed as love stories, but in dark psychology they are power struggles. Intimacy isn't the end of the battle. It's the beginning of a new war. Anger after closeness is one of the sharpest weapons in that war. Historical note. In royal courts, seduction was never just pleasure. It was politics. Lovers could rise to power or fall into ruin based on how they managed intimacy and its aftermath. Real-life example. Modern relationships mirror this. One person uses love, the other uses distance. One gives, the other withholds. The battlefield is invisible, but the casualties are real. Section 20. Escaping the trap. Most men fall into one of two traps. They chase harder when she pulls away. They become defensive and emotional. Both reactions feed her power. The only escape? Neutrality. Staying calm, composed, and detached, refusing to let her anger dictate your emotions. Analogy. In chess, the strongest players don't panic when they lose a piece. They re-strategize. Real-life example. A man who remains calm during her post-intimacy storm often earns deeper respect than the one who scrambles to fix it. Myth versus fact. Myth. The only way to win is to please her. Fact. The true way to win is to master yourself. But here's the twist. The moment you master these patterns, you'll realize anger after intimacy isn't just about women. It is a mirror of human nature itself. We all use love, fear, and power to manipulate. Some just do it better. Do you think post-intimacy anger is instinct or strategy? Could you stay neutral if tested this way? Which of the 20 truths from this series shocked you the most? So why do women get angry after intimacy? Because intimacy shifts power. It awakens regret, fear, and projection. It reactivates trauma, tests loyalty, and manipulates through scarcity. And in its darkest form, it becomes Machiavellian politics disguised as love. If you want to keep uncovering the hidden world of dark psychology and influence, subscribe now and join the Eclipse of Insight community. Because in a world full of hidden manipulation, knowledge is the only shield.